You meet someone at a party. 30 seconds later, you've forgotten their name, but 10 years from now, you'll walk past them on a street in another city, different clothes, different haircut, and you'll know their face instantly. That's strange. A name is 4 letters. A face is thousands of tiny details. The simple thing should stick. The complex thing should fade. But your brain does the opposite. Why? It's not that your memory is weak, it's that it's specialized. Somewhere in your skull is hardware built across millions of years to do one job. Recognize faces faster than conscious thought can register. Nothing like that exists for names. In the early 1990s, neuroscientist Nancy Kanwisher scanned brains while showing people faces, houses, objects. One tiny region kept lighting up, but only for faces. She named it the fusiform face area. Show it a house? Silence. Show it a face? Fireworks. Was this just human? A decade later, researchers Doris Tsao and Winrich Freiwald looked in monkeys and found clusters of neurons called face patches, each tuned to a different angle. Together, they build a model of identity in real time faster than you can blink. This circuitry predates language, it predates tools, it predates almost everything modern about being human. For most of human history, there were no names, just small groups, watching each other's faces for information that meant survival. Angry, hungry, trustworthy. A face told you everything in half a second. Names never got that treatment because for nearly all of human history, you didn't need one. You just needed the face. Here's where it gets stranger. Cognitive scientists call this the Baker-Baker paradox. Show someone a photo and tell them the man's job is Baker. Show the same photo later and tell them his surname is Baker. Same word. People remember the job far more often than the name. Why? Because Baker the job connects to meaning. Flour, ovens, bread. Baker the surname connects to nothing. It floats, unanchored. Your brain didn't evolve to store arbitrary labels, it evolved to store meaning. Psychologist Daniel Schachter spent decades studying this kind of failure. He described transience, memories that decay unless reinforced, and blocking. Memories that exist but become briefly inaccessible. Names are vulnerable to both. They're rarely repeated, they're rarely tied to emotion. Notice what just happened. You probably remember the idea, memories fade without reinforcement. Do you remember Schachter's exact word for it? Maybe not. That's the paradox happening right now in your head. Here's the twist. You'd think faces are just easier, but your brain isn't good at faces in general, only familiar ones. Show someone a stranger's face once, and recognition days later collapses, something eyewitness researchers have shown for decades. A face seen once is forgotten almost as fast as a name, so recognizing an old acquaintance after 10 years isn't really about faces or names. It's repetition and emotional weight, the two things memory has always cared about. You saw their face hundreds of times, reinforcing the same pattern until it became permanent. You heard their name a handful of times, with no emotional charge easily overwritten by the next one, which means the fix isn't guilt over a bad memory, it's feeding your brain what it actually responds to. Say a new name out loud right after hearing it, and you mimic the repetition faces get for free. Attach an absurd image, picture Sandra buried in sand, and you give an arbitrary label the emotional weight your brain demands? You're not improving memory, you're tricking it into treating a name like a face. So next time a name slips away 3 seconds after you hear it, don't read it as a flaw, read it as evidence. Evidence of a brain shaped by a world where a face meant danger or safety, and a name meant almost nothing. The introduction, the small talk, none of that existed for most of human history. The circuitry reading the stranger's expression in front of you, deciding instantly whether they're safe, did exist. It never stopped running. Think about how this asymmetry shows up everywhere now. You scroll through old photos and recognize a cousin's face from 30 years ago, instantly, without trying. You open an app, see a stranger's profile picture, and form an opinion in under a second, before you've even read their name. You sit in a video call where someone's camera is off, just a name on a black screen, and something about it feels wrong, unfinished, like you're talking to a name instead of a person. That's the ancient circuitry, still running, quietly insisting that a face is the real signal, and a name is just noise. Set! Even technology has started building around this. Phones unlock with a glance at your face, not a typed name. Photo apps sort thousands of pictures by face, automatically, recognizing someone you haven't seen in years before you've recognized them yourself. We built machines that finally do what your brain has always done, read the face first, and ask about the name later, if at all. So the next time you're embarrassed about forgetting someone's name within seconds of hearing it, remember what's actually happening underneath that embarrassment. A circuit older than spoken language, older than written history, is already working. It's already reading the shape of their face, storing it, filing it somewhere it almost never lets go.